Jeez. Smile.
Good afternoon. My name is Henry Rogers, and I'd just like to share a testimony of a brother who's come to the Lord in a short time ago. One Sunday morning I was out running, and the Holy Spirit from a far off distance, where a guy was sitting down at a park bench, told me to stop and talk to this guy. 20 meters away, before then I wanted to argue and not do it like we do in those positions. But I did. 20 meters away I stopped and walked up to him and asked him what was going on, how he was, all those things. And to which he proceeded to share with me about where he was at. And at the time he was contemplating committing suicide that afternoon and ending his life. I shared with him the goodness of God, the love of God, and that Jesus could change all that. Shared some of my testimony with him about being in that exact position that he was in at different times in my life. And he wasn't interested at first, wanted nothing to do with that, but to which he mellowed after I shared with him some of my testimony, that he started to come good with the idea. And I ended up praying with him and leading him to the Lord, to which I give thanks to Jesus for, and give him all the glory for that, and thank him for that privilege. Ben proceeded to share with me what was going on that day, and showed me what he was going to do the deed with in regards to committing suicide. He showed me the weapons in the back of his car, and so his whole countenance changed after we had prayed. He went from doom and gloom face to happy, lifted up, revived, all those things. And he went out that afternoon, and he with his other two work colleagues, and he'd done nothing but talk about the goodness of God and what had happened to him that morning, sharing that he had asked Jesus into his heart, and that in that time that we had, what I could share with him, he shared with his work colleagues, and to the point where they wanted to chuck him off the boat, and he would have been rid of anyway. And from there, they were here only for a short time on a business trip. From that day on, Ben was asking the Holy Spirit that he could be ministered to in such a way that he could be blessed with the gift of the Holy Spirit, with the evidence of speaking in tongues. And he turned up at a business meeting. There was about 40 plus men at this business meeting, and he continued from the time that he was asking right up until the business meeting, still kept asking for to be blessed with that gift of speaking in tongues. At the business meeting, when it came to Ben's turn to speak, he started doing his work talk that he was supposed to do at that time. And as he went into the work talk, the Holy Spirit overtook him in such a way that he actually started speaking in tongues, full ball, full volume on the microphone, to the disbelief of the work colleagues in the room, who looked obviously stunned by what he was carrying. He said he carried on for a good 5 to 6 minutes in that time, speaking full on, and it was something he had never heard before. Everyone stunned, and he found out a couple of days later, as he was doing that, he said that it was like something came over him in such a way that he now he knows and understands, because he knows and understands a little bit more, but he realizes that it was the Holy Spirit in such a way that he acknowledges now and shares with different ones in that same position or going to be in that same position, that he can share those very things as well. From that meeting, his best friend in the workplace got saved, and another work colleague, and from all of that, in Ben's time, he really believes the Holy Spirit has been ministering to him in regards to healing, and he really believes he has a strong and powerful call on his life in that area. And just in short, I want to share with different, you might be at a stage in your Christian walk as a brother or sister here where you may have trouble of being obedient in regards to witnessing, in regards to everyday life, and you may have had those chances or opportunities come upon you. I want to say, just don't be discouraged, but be encouraged that the next time that comes around, different ones have asked me when I've shared this testimony with them about how they don't know when it's the Holy Spirit and when it is the Holy Spirit. And I've shared with them that, honestly, I don't know. But I do know this, that when I get the voice of doubt, I need to go in the other direction. I need to go full ball away from the voice of doubt and do it anyway. Step out and speak on God's behalf, because that more than likely is the Holy Spirit ministering to you. When there's doubt and when there's not wanting to do it of ourselves, of our flesh, then it's definitely not of God. But if that doubt comes, or if that voice comes and says no, that's when you know that it is to go in the other direction and just speak it out. Be bold. Ben shared with me about showing him obedience and him wanting to be that same witness that I was for him that morning. And he's done that in so many ways. He's already prayed with 35 people. 10 of those people have had miraculous healings. And he really believes a strong pull on his life, or call on his life, in that direction of healing. He's prayed for his mum, miraculously healed of cancer. His 21-year-old son from his first marriage hated Ben, hated him because of what he'd done in their relationship with his mum and with him. And when Ben explained to him what had happened to him on that Sunday morning, the son is now saved, the 21-year-old son, and forgiven Ben for all his past, the indiscretions before, and they're all sweet again as a family. Didn't say anything about the wife, but the son is. And it's done so much for not only his relationships at work, his relationships in his family. He was the last one of the family that his mum had been praying for all that time. And when he shared about the healing in his mum, he understood. When I shared with him, probably the sickness in your mum was all the praying she was doing for you, and he witnesses with that so much so that he felt the power of God when he prayed when he laid hands on his mum, and that's when the Holy Spirit ministered to him. Ben, I've got a calling on your life. You're called to lay hands on the sick, and that's what he believes he's called to do. And even to the point where he said he wants to preach the gospel as well. And I says, well, you can, if God's involved in it, you'll do both. That's if God's involved in it. And he believes he is. Where am I? Obedience, witnessing, salvation, prayer, gratitude. I've got them written at the top of my notes for this very reason. I've got testimony after testimony from that time And that one needed to be shared with you. Okay. We've been through what we've been through in the last, 3 months, 4 months. I've had brothers and sisters I've shared this testimony with, and they tell me that they're just so inspired, they're so encouraged, they're uplifted, they're strengthened, all these things, all these good things. And they still, not all, but some, come back with the question of how do I know my calling in life? How do I know that what I'm doing is right when I'm doing it? And for me, if you're obedient to the word, and how do you become obedient to the word? Well, you've got to be in the word, for starters. And I've heard over this time so many say that it's helped me. I love the self-isolation because it's helped me get closer to God. It's done this for me, it's done that for me. Different ones at different stages, whether you be a new Christian, whether you be a brother or sister that's been away from the Lord and you've come back, whether you've been a long time Christian. And then I've heard ones say I'm comfortable in what I've done over the time that we've been in, for whatever reason. Comfortable because I don't have to mix with my brothers and sisters. I don't have to take the time to go to church, even gather on a Sunday morning, whatever it be, study. Even it might be music ministry, might be whatever it is you're involved in or not involved in. Different ones would say, and I think even to the point of trying to justify where they're at in regards to saying things like, I'm comfortable because I only have to deal with myself, or I'm comfortable because I don't have to deal with this brother or sister because I don't gel with them, or I'm comfortable because I don't need to deal with their problems or their insecurities, whatever it be. I'm comfortable because for whatever reason I don't dig leadership in whatever capacity is, whether it be your pastor, whether it be your home group leader, or whether it be your whatever church life you lead. And I just say to them and say to you in this time that I've got, I encourage you, don't forsake the gathering of your brothers and sisters. Don't forsake coming together and giving worship to the true and mighty and one and only God that we serve. Not one of us have a perfect life. There's no perfect job. There's no perfect childhood. There's no perfect marriage. And there's not a perfect set of people not a perfect church. There'll always be those that do what you don't expect, what you don't like. That's life. But each brother and sister this morning or this afternoon that gets to view this video, I want to say to you, what we do have is a perfect God who is able to lead us through this imperfect life with unfailing strength, with incomparable wisdom, and with infinite love. Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 to 7. I'll sum it up in one title. Jesus says, worry about nothing and pray about everything. Worry about nothing and pray about everything. Two things you want to kick you on in your Christian walk. Two things: be obedient and witness for Jesus. But do it with the good that He is in you. If He is in you, do it with the good that He's given you. And now I'll share what I was about to share on about coming to Clear Ministries. I think it's close to 6 months. Eight months. I've come here and a step here, and every meeting since has been convicted, ministered to change a life, to change my life at a place where it wasn't when we came here, to a point where every word, every Sunday, that's 8 months of why? Obedient. Being obedient. Ben doing what he's doing. Why? Because he's been obedient. He's been a witness Jesus has called him to be. I don't know who else is going to see this from wherever else you are, what denomination, what field, where, unsaved, saved, Christian, non-Christian. We've got leadership in our family here at Clear. Why do they rub off on those under them, or the goodness that does? Because their obedience, the witnesses they are. I heard Pastor Bill say, or someone asked, and you will relate to this, how do you wind down? How do you ease up from your day-to-day life? You're full on, you're doing this, you're doing that, you go to work, whatever you're doing in church, you have church. And you know what he said? He said, because I'm passionate about it. Passionate about it. My testimony speaks to sports people because I was passionate about sport back in the day. Ben's testimony is going to speak to people because he's passionate about what now that he knows. Witnessing, being obedient. Thank you.